listen to reason? Will you open your eyes? It's a wonder what you'll find with an open mind. You may be surprised. Yeah, gotta get away from this illusion for the sake of the world. This delusion, it's gotta go. Yeah.
Hey everybody, welcome to the show. This is the Atheist Experience. We're live. It's Sunday, July 22nd, 2012. I'm at Dillahunty. I just almost spilled my water all over the table. This is Jen Peeples. Welcome.
Thank you. I would have laughed if you had.
Well, as long as I didn't like fry any electronic devices. We're coming to you live from Austin, Texas, the public access studio there. And this is a live call-in show. We'll have the number for you shortly. How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good.
Good.
Surviving the heat.
Yeah, and actually, I find it kind of funny because last year we had just a miserable drought, and it was insanely hot all year to the point where we even had a governor, praying for rain.
Yeah.
And this year, the rest of the country is going through drought and extreme heat. And actually, I've found it quite nice around here, and a lot of rain in the last few weeks. So clearly, the lack of prayers.
Yes.
Much better.
Well, and we did point out the fact last year that the weekend that we had the Texas Free Thought Convention in Houston, it rained like hell all over the place out here. So, yeah, the governor prays for rain, the state burns to the ground, the atheists have a convention, and it rains. So,
Clearly, the clouds are smiling at us.
of course.
So, yeah, we'll be taking live calls in a little bit. But before we actually get started, you've got something that you wanted to talk about.
Yeah, I want to talk about godparents because we get email from people from time to time who ask, hey, I've been asked to be a godparent. In fact, let me read you a couple of emails here. One of them, I'll leave the names out. It says, I'm due to become a godfather to my niece next month. What I'm having trouble with, guys, is the ceremony and all the praying for sins. Okay. Another person writes in and says, what do you and the other atheists think about godparents? Do you have a godfather? Did you have a godfather? Do your children have one now? Is it bad to have a godfather? Or to call a person a godfather? And another one says, my friends asked me to be the godfather of their son, which is a big honor for us, but that implies going to the church and listening to what the priest has to say about baptism. So clearly there's some confusion out there, even among people who were raised in a church, about what being a godparent means. And we get similar questions about people baptizing their children. I'll leave that for another topic, but I wanted to talk a little bit today about what's a godparent, and what are the duties of a godparent, what are the qualifications to be a godparent. So basically, a godparent is someone who sponsors a person's baptism. So when you present your child for baptism, or christening as some denominations call it, you will have someone who speaks on behalf of the child. In infant baptism, most denominations require some kind of confession of faith, which of course the infant is incapable of doing. So the godparents and the parents do that. For adults, historically, early in the Catholic Church, there was some persecution going on. And so the Catholic Church in the Middle Ages in particular required someone else to attest to the character of the person who was asking to join the church. And also this person's role was to assist that person in meeting the obligations of being a faithful church member. So those historical roles of a godparent have carried forward through today. And so there are different denominations, and each denomination kind of has its own requirement for who can be a godparent. In some cases, it can be the parents. In some cases, it specifically can't be the parents. So, for example, in the Episcopal Church or the Anglican Church, Church of England, whatever, the requirement is that the godparents be baptized and confirmed in the church. Okay, and some cases it's a little bit ambiguous there. It doesn't specifically say you have to be baptized and confirmed in the Episcopal Church, but that's kind of implied. For the Catholic Church, you have to be a confirmed Catholic, and you have to have participated in communion. And you cannot be the child's parent. So it has to be someone else. For Lutherans, you got to be baptized and confirmed in the church. For Orthodox Christians, it's usually the best man or the bridesmaid from the wedding, the couple's wedding. Okay? And there's also a requirement that this person or persons be in good standing with the church. For Methodists, it can be the parents, but their specific requirement is that it be a mature, reliable Christian. And of course, Baptists, you can talk about Baptists here. Baptists don't do infant baptism.
That's correct.
So you don't have to have a godparent if you're a Baptist, because you're expected to make your own confession of faith.
That's absolutely correct.
So anyway, what your requirements are, if you're asked to be a godparent and you're an atheist, you probably need to have a conversation with the people who are asking you to do this, because this is a specific religious role here. So some of your responsibilities include take an active role in the child's upbringing and personal development. The godparent also instructs the child in the faith, especially if the parents have failed to do this. Also serve as a witness to the faith and help the child attain salvation. A little tough to do if you reject the concept of salvation. And in some denominations, you might even be responsible for naming the child.
Which would be so awesome.
Yeah.
I dub the Satanus.
Hitchens.
Yes.
Anyway, so these are some of the responsibilities, and you can see most of those are overtly religious responsibilities. So, you know, there's this idea that, you know, being a godparent is an honor, and I suppose it might be, but if you've been asked to be a godparent, you really need to investigate what it is they expect of you and what are the requirements, because as an atheist, you may not even meet the requirements to be a godparent.
Yeah, it's one of those things where we understand the history of it, we understand the religious aspect of it. The thing is, a lot of people who are saying, hey, I'd like you to be my baby's godparents, don't have the first clue what any of those are. So it may be that they're asking you to just be the person who, you know, jumps in when they're unavailable, or any number of things. But it's always good to most definitely ask and find out what exactly is it that I'm expected to do.
Yeah.
You know. Well,
and that kind of gets to this popular misconception about what a godparent is supposed to do. A lot of people think that a godparent is the person who cares for the child in the event the parents meet some untimely demise.
Yeah, that's not quite it.
Yeah, and actually, you can't transfer custody of a child or designate a guardian for your child with a baptismal certificate. Yeah. So the godparents have no legal claim to custody of a child, of their godchild. And if you want to designate a guardian for your child, you need to do that in a will or some other legal document, not by saying you're going to be the godparent. So that's what I have on godparents. Hopefully that helps some people that have been asked to do this.
Yeah, the big thing is if they don't know that you're a non-believer and they ask you to do this, I agree. You should always ask exactly what it is that you're going to be expected to do. Maybe what they're expecting from you is something that you can do, even without letting them know. I mean, if, for example, you're not out to this individual and they're asking, you need to find out exactly what they're asking, because if they're assuming some sort of religious obligation, then you might have to bow out, which might mean you end up outed. You know, it depends on how the situation goes. But it's not. I wouldn't do it in any of the senses that are religious. But as far as, you know, the more social, you know, that aspect of it, sure, I have no problem at all. It's, of course, it's also a responsibility.
Yeah.
So, you know, it depends on how much weight you want to actually take on your shoulder.